In this video, we're going to go over what reading is. So what is reading? Just like writing, reading is a conversation between the writer and the reader. All conversations are about something. A writer has to say things clearly and effectively. And as the reader, you have to figure out what the writer is trying to say. But how do I figure it out then? A natural question. We figure out writing by using the 3 levels of reading that I'm going to go over. The first level is skimming. That's when you look through the whole thing quickly. Maybe you're looking for headings. Maybe you're even just looking for the pictures. Sometimes the graphs and charts and tables that you see in your reading can tell you more than just the paragraphs themselves. The second level is scanning. This is when you choose and read passages you need or are interested in. The third level is close reading, and this you examine the details of a text carefully and deeply. Many times you can examine the stuff that you noticed while you were skimming or scanning. Sometimes you may only need to do 1 or 2 levels, especially when you're in college. Many times you have heavy reading and you may not have time to read everything. It's probably not recommended. This isn't like you're reading a novel or a short story where you need to read a lot of times every single word. When you're reading technical books, and that's usually textbooks for most classes, you can probably skim the headings and scan the necessary parts that you need. You don't need to go and analyze the text really deeply. The only time you need to go into close reading is if you are using the reading as evidence to whatever essay you're going to write. That's the time that you really need it. Is there a way I can do all of the levels? Yes. The way you'll learn is called the inductive method, especially in my class. So there are some steps to the inductive method. The first step is observation. Many times when you're making observations about a text, all the levels that you need to use are skimming and scanning. The second step when we interpret is interpretation, where you take the things that you've observed and you explain it more deeply. The levels typically used are scanning because you're looking at specific sections, and close reading because you are then thinking about what those things that you've noticed mean. Lastly, application. The levels that are typically used are skimming, scanning, and close reading because you're looking either at details really quickly or some of the things you pulled out or some of the things that you actually took time to look into. So, the first step of observation, what do? Observation is when you look or skim at the text, what it's literally saying. So what should you look for? Physical parts of writing, words you don't know, patterns of words or phrases that sort of stick out to you, how punctuation is used, perhaps. Sometimes the authors and writers will isolate things or separate things using punctuation. So it's important to note when they put those in because they signal what might be important before or after it. Ideas that seem to be repeated. Then, the next step after that is interpretation. Interpretation is when you judge what your observations reveal to you. So you take the things that you noticed as you skim through and you try to explain or think about what these things may reveal to you. The specific things that could reveal stuff could be the words, the patterns of words or phrases, the punctuation, the repeated ideas, the rhetorical appeals that we've mentioned before when we talked about what is writing, like ethos, pathos, and logos, which is credibility, emotions, or logic. Lastly is application. So that's when application is when you connect what is revealed to you to a bigger idea, what you think is a bigger idea or a possible bigger idea. So what do? State your overall opinion or judgment about any or all of these: the text, the speaker, the context, the purpose, any of these things. There's more. Whatever you can think of, could be useful here when you're applying what you saw. Then, how do I know when to do what? Well, practice, lots of practice. When you're doing reading, especially close reading, it's not a clean process. You're going to think a lot and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to guess, and those are all part of it. You'll get to know your method and you yourself as a person better as you practice and do more of it. It can be frustrating at first. There's no easy way around it. You cannot level up unless you actually go do and gain the experience to level up. You get faster and better the more you read. You just have to do it. My recommendation is you break off your time into 10 to 20-minute chunks. Don't sit for hours. It gets more boring over time, honestly. Some people can sit for maybe an hour at most. If you're lucky, you can sit for 2 or 3 hours. That's great, but most people will start losing attention and start getting slower and not as good and efficient. So the recommendation is to read for about 10 to 20 minutes, especially if you're doing close reading, and then go do something else. Take a break, walk around, and then come back to do it. It's still there. It's not going to run away, the reading or the writing that's there. So I would recommend that you can do that. This is not like a lab experiment where you have to pay attention to it and sustain it for the entire time. Otherwise, some things may happen. The writing is static. It just sits. Always reward yourself when you finish, especially when you're finishing something difficult. Always give yourself a reward. It doesn't matter what it is. Ice cream, a cookie, a break, some time to play a video game or something like that. Whatever it is that will make you feel happy afterwards. You've done something not easy, so you need to give yourself a break.